We're moving right into the next session with Savanah from Shopping Gives. I do have my Shopping Gives hat on the wall behind me. You can't see me because my behind me,
Amazing.
I was really stoked to get the swag in the mail. Yeah, and I don't wear hats very often, but I can showcase it on the wall, which is great.
Yeah, it makes an excellent decor piece. So no worries there. You can keep it on display.
Awesome. So let's talk cause marketing. I think we can see how this all ties together. We're talking about having conversations with our merchants. And I think if there's something you want to talk about with a merchant, it can be about how are we going to give back? Why should you care about our brand? There's a deeper connection being built. And I think the bringing a cause into what you're doing and the purpose of your brand ties perfectly into that, even though it's not directly and immediately conversational, it spurs conversation essentially.
Definitely, definitely. Yes. And very excited to talk about cause marketing with you guys today.
Perfect. Awesome. I will remove myself, let you take it away. Go ahead and share your screen and I'll bring it up here for it.
Will do. All right. So let me just get this going for you guys. So as Derek mentioned, I'm Savanah. I'm the head of partner success at Shopping Gives. So today I'm going to kind of give you a little lecture on cause marketing 101, everything you need to know to bring cause marketing into your e-commerce business so that you can make really meaningful connections with your customers and see that doing good really does mean doing well. So first, to speak on cause marketing, the reason why it's so important is that this new generation of consumers is buying with their values and voting with their wallets. So Gen Z and millennial are really micro philanthropists and they are agents of change. So in the past, where cause marketing and a mission was sort of a nice to have for a lot of businesses, it's really becoming a need to have in order for businesses to succeed. You might fall behind if there's a comparison between you and a consciously minded company. Your customer might lean toward that consciously minded company because they're seeing their values connected. So we're going to go through why it's important and how you can actually implement that as a business. Currently, retailers are spending over 20 billion in digital advertising to acquire and retain Generation Impact, so that Gen Z and millennial group. That group has a massive buying power, and yet less than 1% of retailers are actually activating on cause marketing, but that is growing year over year. And the reason we've seen that there is sort of some hindrances to get involved in cause marketing is that there are a couple things that may be hard to manage for brands, especially those that are growing and even at scale. So it's difficult to manage the compliance side. There is a good amount of cause marketing regulation that goes into play here. Brands sometimes steer away from cause marketing because they can't really get an understanding of what their customers care about. And they're just kind of shooting in the dark to see what mission they can go for. And finally, of course, brands always want to be measuring this back and seeing how that's actually affecting bottom line. We know you're in business to make money, so the hope is that we can always help you make more so you can give back more. And those reasons are some of the reasons why we built Shopping Gives. So we're a social impact commerce platform. At the very basic level, we make it possible for any brand to give back to any nonprofit of any size in the US. We want to make it super simple so that you guys can focus on the good that you're doing as opposed to how you're going to do good. And we manage that through our suite of cause marketing technologies to always kind of measure back and see how that's increasing customer loyalty and lifetime value across the board. As we're going to be talking about cause marketing today, there are a couple things I need to clear the air with and set the table with. Cause marketing or donating a portion of sales does kind of come with a few rules that cause marketing compliance piece I spoke to. So just going to go over those quickly so we all have a basic understanding as we move forward. So first, you have to register and file the correct agreements in all 50 states in order to give back. So if you're giving with a specific nonprofit, that means commercial co-venture, solicitation agreements, bonds in all 50 states, just a good amount of paperwork in order to give back. Secondly, you have to be transparent with your customer and share the amount that's being given on their behalf. So the language of 20% of proceeds or 20% of profits really doesn't give your customer enough information. Where they might think that's $20, you actually know that it's $5. So as a business, you have to share that full dollar amount that's being given on the customer's behalf pre and post purchase. Third, you need to get permission to use name and logos for any nonprofit. So just as you as a brand wouldn't want anyone to use your name and logo in marketing, nonprofits function the same way. And so you'll want to make sure that they have a partnership in place with you in order for you to use all of that information. And finally, the one that you probably are most familiar with, you're going to want to keep records of your giving in case of auditing. Also around tax time, that's going to be beneficial for you guys, but you want to make sure that you're actually tracking how much you're giving back. If you want to learn more about these 4 kind of pieces, we do have some information on our website, the 4 things to know when giving back. You can read a bit more about them and get more of an understanding of how Shopping Gives actually answers each of these 4 points. But I won't get too deep into it because I know we're all here to talk through our power strategies for cause marketing success. So the 3 things we always recommend for brands to keep in mind when beginning and moving into cause marketing is that you should always lead with your values. Second is that customer engagement counts. And then finally, measurement matters. So that measurement piece of both your impact and back to bottom line. So to start with my personal favorite, leading with your values, customers have more access to information than ever before, and they're really going to be well aware of if your brand really has a mission in mind and if they're really consciously minded or if you're just pandering. So if you're just getting started in cause marketing, you don't really know where to begin, we always recommend looking at these 4 kind of pillars first when developing your mission. So we define authentic social impact as your team, your community, your customer, and your product. Your team is your front line of defense. They're your first influencers, and they're the ones that are really going to go to bat for your mission. So when you're building this out, talk to them and see what they care about. If you have, half your team has adopted instead of shopping for pets, maybe you want to go with an animal welfare nonprofit. Or if they're really focused on ocean cleanup and you've always been a sustainable brand, maybe that's a nonprofit that you support because your team is so inclined to it. For your community, that's the people who immediately surround you, who built up your brand as well. So if you're a small town, homegrown kind of company, maybe it's looking at the nonprofits in your area and how you can support them. Even if you're an international brand, you can see what matters to the community where you guys began, who's brought you up, and how can you support that. Similarly, your customers. So if your demographic base and if your customer base has a lot of LGBTQ individuals or a lot of veterans, how can you support them? How can you support the causes that matter to them? And we'll get more into that as well. Finally, your product, one that we see a lot of in the industry, and I'm sure you can name a couple examples as well, but this is things like if you're a stationery company, maybe you're planting trees since you're using that material. Or if you're a reusable water company, maybe you are working on that ocean cleanup initiative because it directly ties into what your product does. As you're building this out, again, you might not cover all 4 of these pieces in your mission. You might only cover 1. That's totally fine. This is just a starting point as you build up what that mission is going to be and what matters to you. Once you have done that kind of deep dive into what matters to your brand, you should publish your brand story and values on site. I always like to joke that the impact page is the library of your giving, whereas the social posts and the emails and anything else that you speak about is more like a journal entry or even a book. So this is our partner, Dr. Bronner's. They're very mission-minded. If anyone knows the brand, I'm sure you already know that. So their impact page is very well built out with all the segments of their mission in mind. In the community section, you can see on the bottom right, that was actually a giving initiative that they created to support psychedelic-assisted therapies. So they talk about why that matters to them and also break down each of the causes that they supported in that case. On that team side, sharing that story is really important as well. So again, on Dr. Bronner, as you can see on the right, they have Mike and David actually attending the blood drive, and they're sharing that impact with their customers to encourage their customers to do the same thing, but also show that they have a real authentic connection to their goals and their mission. It's not just something that they're placing on site. You can also see on the left, they speak about going cruelty-free. If you are going to move from one cause to another, this is when it's really important to have that impact page and be sharing that impact, because again, your customer is going to see, 1 week they're doing this, the next week they're doing this. The more you can educate them, the better, so they know and they can keep ahead of all those giving initiatives that you're sharing with them. Speaking on customer education and engagement, we always talk about how customer engagement counts. Obviously, if you're an e-commerce retail brand, especially, you want to make sure your customer knows what's going on. So to engage with your customers with social impact, you can start with education, then moving to testing across different marketing channels, and finally remarketing and personalization. So sort of a crawl, walk, run, educating your customers being a quick win, and then remarketing and personalization definitely being something that every brand can work to. To educate, we always start with what can you do on site to bring that information to them. This is completely your own experience. So how can you share your giving with the customer as early as possible? A homepage marketing call out, whether that's a hero or an eyebrow banner, is super helpful. The example that's here is our partner on Natural. This was something they did for Giving Tuesday. So even if it's not an evergreen hero banner, if there's a special initiative you're taking part in, it's really helpful to have something that speaks to that when your customer lands on site right away. We also mention sharing giving announcements. So if you have special activations that you're doing, keeping your customer informed of those. So on the left and right, you can see Ursa Major. Our partner planted 2 trees for every purchase in the month of May. So on May 1st, they sent out that email saying we're planting 2 trees. And then what's really great is that at the end of May, they actually sent a recap and an impact breakdown of what they actually did in that time. So they told their customers how many trees they actually planted, which is really great for the customer because if they only committed 2 trees, it's so wonderful to see how many trees that actually built up to, how many people contributed in that giving message. In the middle, you can also see our partner, Blind Barber, mentioning for Giving Tuesday that purchases have the power to make impact. Extra credit points, if you notice that it says that we donate 20% of all purchases. I want to clear that up because I know earlier I say you can't say 20% of proceeds and profits. Because Blind Barber tells the customer how much that actually turns out to be on site, they are fully in compliance to say that there. 20% of someone's purchase could be different from another person's 20%. So they do share the 20 there, but it will also tell them how much that breaks down to in actual donations. We also have a partnership with Yotpo. So another great way to engage your customers is to actually reward them for giving back. So you can have customers earn points when they're donating. And we'll get into add-on donations and how that can be helpful there. But Blind Barber, our partner, is giving back 1 point for every dollar donated. And they actually give back a point based on the amount of money that they're giving as a brand. We can also have customers redeem those points for donations. So if anyone's shopped on Sephora, you might have seen this, not our activation, just to be clear, but something similar that you might have experienced in your own life. So customers can say, okay, I have 150 extra points. I don't necessarily need $5 off, or none of these free products are interesting to me. So I'm going to donate that money to a cause that matters. You can provide them with the option to do that via Shopping Gives, or I'm sure you can kind of figure it out on your own as well. Another great feature that we have at Shopping Gives is that your customers are able to align their purchase with their values, and you as a brand can align every single purchase with the customer values. So we have a database of 1.5 million 501c3s that are in good standing. So again, on this example with Au Natural, when a customer goes on site, they can actually search for any of those nonprofits out of the box and be able to support something that matters most to them. So the shelter that they got their dog at, the band boosters for their kiddos' high school, whatever it may be. Of course, if your brand is really driven to one specific cause, you can support that one cause as well. So if you really want to hone in on one mission, that makes sense too. It's just a matter of sharing that and speaking to it and kind of committing to that giving relationship. Another great way to share your giving is to do kind of what we call impact capsule collections. So if you have a bunch of different colors of items and you want each color to represent a different cause, or if you sell many different products and each cause associated to a different product would make sense aligned on what that is. So vegan leather handbags give to animal welfare, while your shoes give to breast cancer awareness, whatever it may be. You can kind of split it up. That way your customer can not only shop based on what they like, but they could shop based on the causes that they care about as well. So they might have only picked up the vegan leather handbag, but really care about breast cancer awareness, so they'll throw a pair of shoes in as well. Really interesting activation that you could explore too. Next, you can always have your customer join in giving back with customer donations. So What we like to say here is that you're going to see a lot more engagement from your customers when these donations are in addition to what you as a brand are already giving. So we all know that feeling of when you go to CVS or Walgreens or the local grocery store, and at the end of your purchase, they ask you if you want to add $1 on. I don't know if anyone else that goes through this, but I've definitely had times where I feel guilty saying no to things like that. And I don't feel, even if I do donate, I don't necessarily feel very connected to that cause. So we recommend that you as a brand are saying, hey, we already donate a portion of your purchase. Every purchase that comes through, we either give $1, 1%, or what it is. And then you ask your customers to join you in giving back so that they have an extra incentive to give back already, as opposed to just asking them to kind of run your giving for you, if that makes sense. Two ways to do customer donations. You can do a roundup on purchase. So that, of course, is that incremental based on a dollar value. So up to 99 cents that can be added onto the cart value for a customer. You can also do an add-on donation that's a full dollar amount. So like $1, $3, $5. That's great if you're going to have higher value carts. You can ask your customer to kind of commit a little bit more. Plus, it gives them the freedom to add more than $1 if they really care about the cause that you're supporting. And it's great to see that engagement as well, especially if you're partnered with nonprofits and can report to how much is being given back. Moving into cross-channel marketing and how you can test there. Biggest thing here is that you want to remain consistent. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You want to make sure your customers know about the giving that you're doing. And the more consistent you can keep the message, the more authentic it's going to read. So on social media, we have examples from our partners. Kenneth Cole and Highline Wellness on the left in their Instagram stories, speaking to the giving that they're doing for Giving Tuesday and just in general. On the right, Kenneth Cole did an activation right when COVID-19 was starting last year. You can see that they spoke to the amount of money that they were giving back there. And Dr. Bronner's also had a special activation for that psychedelic assisted therapy. They break down the 6 causes that they were giving to and how the customers could actually select and give back. Again, on social media, you can influence with giving in mind. So a lot of influencers have nonprofits that mean a lot to them. And so their customers have an affinity for it. I speak to it a lot. And subscribers and followers are going to want to see that when an influencer comes on saying, not only do I love this brand and I'm working with this brand, but they're supporting the cause that I care about and the cause that you guys have heard me talk about with every purchase that you make through my link or whatever it may be. That gives you a stronger relationship with the nonprofit because you're with the influencer because you're supporting the cause that really means something to them. It also gives you a bargaining chip if it's something that your brand is doing where you want to kind of negotiate rates or you can only provide product and maybe those donations. It's a great way to potentially open up more options for you with influencers who are willing to try that out. Dedicating campaigns and special activations. So similar to Ursa Major, this is our partner Tomboy X. When they first released with us, they explained the process of donating with the customer. So they wanted to say, you can add on a donation. They shared how you can shop, change your cause, give the way they want. Again, keeping that consistent across the messaging. So if your customers can always choose, make sure they know that they can choose and they have to pick a cause in order for a donation to go back. A newer activation for us as well. I'm sure a lot of people are looking into SMS marketing. So we did work with Blind Barber to release something right around Giving Tuesday about that 20% going back. And you can actually include that in those other touch points with your customers as well. Now for remarketing and personalization, this really drives into the data that you'll be able to collect, seeing where your customers care to give to. You see that 83% of millennials say it's important for the companies they buy from to align with their beliefs and values. That can be a little bit tough for a brand to do. So how can we actually align those beliefs with you so that you're getting those customers who believe in the mission that you have in mind? One way we could do it is targeting customer segments based on cause affinity on social media. So nonprofits have massive followings, not only for their causes, but also just their names will bring in huge amounts of followings. You can see here, these are interest sizes that we pulled from Facebook for these 3 nonprofits. And what you can do with this information is then target customers who have that affinity and bring them back to site to support that cause. So if you're working to fight hunger, you can target those Feeding America likers and people who have that affinity to say, when you shop with us, we donate to end hunger. That will bring them back to site. And then you can also use this as a prospecting technique. Another extra credit point section, you'll see that we did use our Feeding America logo in here. We have a partnership with Feeding America, so we are able to share that logo in case you were paying close attention. What we can do as well with Shop and Gives is we can support multiple causes that you're prospecting, even if you're giving to a different one on site. We have a special cause parameter. So if you're working to end hunger on site, but you want to see if people who are interested in sustainability are interested in shopping when they see that you're giving back, you can use that cause as well and have them come back on site and see that that's being supported. Once you have information on where your customers care to give, you can re-engage them with dynamic impact. So you'll see who your customer supports when they choose their cause of choice, and then your brand can create an audience pool based on that category. So, you might have one customer support Boys and Girls Club, another customer support another education cause, whatever it may be. But if you group them by category, you can have maybe 3 or 4 categories of your spenders, and then you can retarget them again on social. So in this case, One Tree Planted was supported, but the ad actually speaks to saving the planet instead. So it doesn't have to be one-to-one, but it can be if you'd like. Now moving into that measurement piece, like I said before, we understand that you guys are in the business of making money, so we want to make it possible for you to make more and give back more. Speaking to the impact that you're making and making sure you're measuring that as well, your customers want to see that impact. So on the left, we have a partner who is giving for COVID-19. So they actually tracked how many dollars were being collected across several months. On the right, again, are some major. Speaking to that consistency, though, this is the same graphic they used in their email. So customers are going to see the same messaging across all their communications. And that's a great way for them to really be brought into that giving message. We also like to measure impact back to bottom line. So we call RODS, return on donation spend, our playful little spin on ROAS. You can see how much each dollar donated equates to in money back in your pocket as the brand. We have seen 19% lifts in conversion, 23% lift in AOV, and an 18% increase in lifetime value among multiple times donating customers. So it's really important to be bringing them into that mission, and we can always track and see how that's actually resonating with them and how that's building more loyal customers. Shop and Gives has published Google tags so that you're able to see across different channels how customers who are engaging with impact versus non-engaging with impact compare. That's a great way to get kind of a quick look at it at any point in time to see how those are comparing to each other and how your engagers differ. We also have a dashboard in our Shopify app that's free to install that allows you to see your AOV compared, average order value compared with donations versus your baseline, as well as an activation rate. So if you're asking customers to opt into donations or to say, I want to donate with every purchase, even if you're the brand making the donation, you can see how many customers are opting in there. We do integrate with other CMS platforms outside of Shopify. So there are similar dashboards there too, but our Shopify app makes it super easy for brands. So to recap, the 3 power strategies you should keep in mind for cause marketing success is number 1, always lead with your values. Make sure it's an authentic mission and authentic cause marketing strategy. Second, engage your customer. So really bring that to life by involving your customer, creating a consistent message and making sure they know exactly how much you're giving, when you're giving, all of those sorts of things so they can feel like they're a part of that mission. And then third, you want to make sure you're measuring both from an impact perspective and a bottom line perspective on how your giving is helping you do well. A bit more about Shop and Gives. We offer an end-to-end integration with e-commerce stores. So we match in natively. We can match your site and your style, whatever aesthetic you're going for. We fit right into your customer journey. We manage donations end to end. So all of that regulatory and compliance things that I went over at the beginning is covered when you work with us. And you won't have to bring in your accounting team to pull reports every month so that you're writing the checks yourself. We handle all of that for you. You also have data and business insights at a few clicks, so you can always see how that is impacting your bottom line. We're already working with some top D2C retailers like the ones you're seeing on this screen, but we always hope to grow our giving economy and build a network of cause-minded stores. So if you're interested in learning more, you can check out shopandgives.com or send us an email at hello@shopandgives. Otherwise, I will stick around to answer any questions. Thank you guys so much for joining today.
Hey, and thanks so much for that. I mean, it seems like such a no-brainer. If you're making an increase in conversion rate, you're increasing average order value. Seems like cost marketing. It just perfectly aligns with all core business goals. So it's like, why aren't more brands doing it? So
Totally. Yeah.
I love it. And I'm always really supportive of this software because it is really important to find a sustainable way to give back. And I think you've heard me say it before, Savanah. I don't like, one-off donations or, something that you might do a little bit at the end of the year. I like it when a donation makes everything better and it becomes a sustainable component to a business. Sustainable giving back is the way to the future in which we can support tons and tons of nonprofit, increase the pie for so many nonprofits, and really watch the world become a better place. Because honestly, the for-profit sector isn't necessarily known for helping with that kind of stuff all the time. So it's good to find a equal balance between them.
Yeah, definitely. We always talk about evergreen giving. If a brand can give back, why not give back all the time so that, your customers start to expect that. They don't want to wait until Giving Tuesday to shop with you to make an impact. They want to be able to know that they're making an impact anytime they come to you. So evergreen impact is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, evergreen versus campaign, exactly. And the
Yeah.
fun thing is that if it's really woven into an evergreen strategy, it becomes the essence of your business, right? It becomes part of the brand.
Hmm.
And I think that
Hmm.
that's when it gets really exciting, because you're transforming who you are and who you're perceived to be, as opposed to just I think the campaigns come across a little bit inauthentic at times. They certainly can be good and successful for everybody involved, but it's like, well, they're just running this one promo to help give back for this one time, as opposed to this is who they are and this is what they believe. So,
Right. Yeah, definitely.
awesome. Okay, Savanah, I love it. We're going to move right into our next session. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Derek.